go back and forth.
Joanne's gonna lead us through.
Welcome.
We're gonna do all night. Love it. All right. We're gonna. Okay. Good evening, everyone. I know we're running a few minutes late. We're gonna call the meeting to order. If we could start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A few things to attend to. So we're going to call we're going to ask for any public comments regarding the safety plan only. We're in the safety plan portion of the meeting, right, Ms. Long? Do we have any?
Actually, we're just recording.
Okay.
Any public comments were received, and there were none received.
Excellent.
Okay, great.
All right, so we're going to adjourn the public hearing for the safety plan, and now we're going to call the public hearing to order for the code of conduct. And do we need, I guess, are there any, are we asking for comments on the code of conduct?
Yes, we're asking for comments on the code of conduct.
Do you have any comments? All right, so hearing that there are no comments, I guess we just need a vote on.
Yes, well, actually, we will vote in the business portion.
Okay, so now can we adjourn,
That's correct.
adjourning the code of conduct? And now we are opening our monthly August meeting. I'm going to keep my comments brief because, but I hope everyone's had a nice summer. We're looking forward to starting the school year next week. I know we're coming back on next Thursday. We have a few things going on Tuesday that Dr. Siniak could talk about. And I just wanted to announce that we did get another $300,000 for the playground. So very proud of that. So that's a total of, we went out and got $500,000 from not using any of our funds, just going out from political leaders and asking for money. So that's what we're going to keep doing. So that's very good news. I think we need a little bit more to get all the playgrounds done. And I'll let Dr. Siniak, so I'm going to give the podium over to Dr. Siniak for her comments.
Thank you, Ms. Ryan. Yes, we need about another, I'd say $250,000 to ensure that we can have one new playground at each school. We are working with the playground companies now to see what our options are, but we have not given up yet. So still looking to get more grant money for that. But $500,000 is an excellent start. We're very excited. Yes, so as Ms. Ryan said, we're opening schools next week. We have superintendent's conference days on Tuesday and Wednesday. On Monday, we have our new staff orientation, and then our students on September 1st. Looking forward to that. And we will exhaust them on September 1st. So then they're off on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday for Labor Day weekend. Our summer programs were truly amazing. We were just talking about that at admin today with our principals and central office. We had our reading program, our music program. We had our summer lunch bunch clubs outside. We had our extended school year. We had Scope. We had Camp Invention. So there was a lot going on here over the summer. We have a new platform for communication called Parent Square. We've been sending out testing communications. The principals were sending out theirs. Blackboard is going by the wayside. These programs don't last too long, and there's always a better one that's out there. So Parent Square, and we're looking forward to all of the advantages of using that. And finally, our class assignments were mailed out on Thursday afternoon. With that being said, parents were able to call the buildings on Monday this week if they did not receive that card. I did have 2 questions from parents about opening the portal to be able to see their child's assignment. The problem with doing that this year, our kindergarten parents are not in possession of their login credentials for our portal, and I would never open a portal when every parent would not have access for it. But transitioning to next year, the kindergarten parents will get those credentials in June, and we will do both. We will open the portal and do the mailing, because as much as I had 2 parents who were in favor of the portal, I also had parents say it's so exciting to watch my child open that mail. So, tradition does play a piece here. And we like to get the feedback from all parents. And there are some districts who only do portal, and then there are some that do both. So, but we will move in that direction next year. And that's all I have.
Have a motion to approve the routine approval, 6A, B, and C.
Motion.
Motion by Ms. Miller, second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Luciani. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion, any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Public comments, this is for agenda items only. The guidelines are, any person wishing to make comments or raise questions shall fill out a comment card. After you are called, please come forward to the microphone, state your full name. All comments or questions shall be directed to me or Dr. Stiniak. The board or administration will do our best to immediately respond to any questions. Out of courtesy and fairness to the rest of the audience, each person will limit his or her remarks to no more than 3 minutes, not to exceed a 30-minute session. Public discussion with respect to confidential matters is prohibited. So I don't know if we have any, we got nothing tonight. All right, so I'm going to go on. No comments on agenda items. Before we turn over to our approvals on our business side, I'm just going to ask Mr. McDade to go over the reserve plan publicly.
Thank you. Good evening. So we're happy to say for the first time since 2019, our reserves are now going to be over $6 million. We're going to be able to put back approximately $807,000 back into the reserves above what we spent this past year. So we're very happy about that. So that's the good news for this reserve plan. Now, the reserve plan that we'll be voting on tonight goes through each of the reserves and how that money is going to be allocated for each of the reserves. So just to quickly go through it, the reserve plan, the reserves that we have in the district, we have the unemployment reserve, which is for unemployment claims. ERS, which is the employee retirement system. That's the reserve that I talk about each year during the budget, that we use dollar for dollar, whatever the expense is for the retirement system for that we take out of this reserve. The TRS is the teachers' retirement sub-reserve for the teachers' retirement. For that one, we typically use about $200,000 from that reserve. The next is the insurance reserve. It's for any claim that insurance would not cover will come out of the reserve. We haven't used that reserve in a long time. The EBLR reserve is the employee benefits accrued liability reserve, which basically represents the payout of any sick time or vacation time or retirement incentives when a person leaves the district. The next two would be the capital reserve. And so we're going to go into each of those real quick. For each of the reserves, for the ERS reserve, the TRS reserve, we're putting back in the recommendations to put back in exactly what we spent with a few dollars more. The EBLR reserve is the same thing. We spent about $158,000 out of that reserve. We're looking to put back a little bit more than that this year, just to keep that above $1 million. The EBLR reserve, they tell us when we go through the audit, we do the compensated absences, and they tell us the full liability of that reserve should be about $3.6 million. That's if everyone retired and we had to pay everything out today. That's what it would cost the district. So that's what we want to get at some point get up to. The next thing is the capital reserve. And we're happy to say the capital reserve is we're looking to put back $650,000 into the capital reserve for bigger projects, whether it's roofs, air conditions, things along those lines. We had taken about $1 million out a year ago. We're able to now replenish that, which we're very happy to be able to do. The other thing is the appropriated fund, the unappropriated fund balance, which is the 4% we basically keep aside each year to be able to fund any unforeseen circumstances. So that's what we're looking to do. One of the things with the reserve plan too that I want to note that you'll read in the plan that's online is what our future goals are for these reserves. What we've been saying for the past few years is the assigned appropriated fund balance. When I first came here, it was over $700 and something thousand. We're happy to say that that's down to under $300,000. The goal for that is to be able to eliminate that within the next year or two, if possible. And one of the reasons for that is because then if we don't have that and we're not using that to fund the budget, we have that much more money to be able to put back into reserves. And that's one of the things that the goals that we're looking to do. We want to less utilize the reserves and the appropriate fund balance as a funding source for the budget, for the exception of either like one-time purchases, increases in those budget codes. That's the goal that we want to get to. It's going to take us some time to get there, but we're on a path to get there. And this is, over the past 2 years, we've been able to do that, and we want to continue to be able to do that in the future. So that's what we lay out in the reserve plan. If anyone has any questions in regard to that, it's here tonight or listening at home, you can always give me a call in the office, and I can answer any other questions in regard to that.
Great.
Thank you.
Do any board members have any questions for Ms. McDade or? Okay. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve 8A through 8LL.
Can we pull out G?
Sure. With the exception, so 8A through 8LL, excluding G. Have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Motion by Tracy and second by Mary Keen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. I'll ask for a motion to approve G, and then we'll do a discussion on the motion. So I'm just find G. Okay, a motion, if I have a motion to approve G by
I'll
Ms.
make the
Miller.
motion, sure.
And then if we could have a discussion on the motion.
Oh, was it G or D?
I thought you said G.
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 Oh,
G.
Right?
She like in Gary.
Yes.
G.
Yeah.
Okay.
Need a second.
So I'm sorry, the second, sorry, so motion, second the motion. Ms. Moran, now we'll have the discussion on the motion.
Uh,
Ms. Luciano.
Could we have Tom give us an explanation of the need
Yes.
for the
Oh.
TANs and explain it, what's
Sure.
going on here?
Okay, the TAN is a tax anticipation note. What happens in many school districts around Long Island and New York, we don't receive our taxes till the end of August. I'm sorry, the end of October. So we're funding payroll and all expenses for July, August, September, most of October until we receive our first tax check from the county. So what happens is when you do a cash flow and you see where you're at come September, by the end of September, if we stayed where we were and didn't do a tax anticipation note, we'd be short about $100,000 at that point. And at the end of October, we'd be short over about $1.6 million to be able to fund anything because we haven't received our taxes yet. Once we receive the taxes, we're fine. And this happens in many districts across all of Long Island that they go after TAN because you're just waiting to receive the money. One of the good things is last year we went out for about 4.9 million for this. Based upon our financial situation now, it's improved. We're only going out for $2 million. And one of the other things we looked at with this, because of our improved positioning, is the fact that instead of waiting till the end of June, when we do the cash flow, and we look at it like we're not going to have that negative when we're waiting for the May taxes, which is great. Where the year before, the possibility was there that we would have that. Since we're not going to have that, we're only going out for 6 months. So it's a shorter time frame. So it's not going to cost the district as much money. And like I said, we're in a better financial position to be able to afford taking less of a TAN
And
out.
this is to cover the payroll and expenses for September and October,
Correct.
if, in case we don't get our tax money
Tax.
back.
So actually from July, August.
From July,
I'm sorry,
August.
you're right, good, that's.
And one of the things we also do each year, and we bring it up, is we pay the library monthly. We pay,
Nice.
we take whatever the taxes are, we divide it by 12, and each month we pay that. So we'll pay July, August, September, and October, 4 months worth of payments, almost $1 million, before we even receive any taxes.
Wow.
So that's one of the things that also, in that situation, that we have to go out for TAN to also be able to fund that also.
And when was the first time that we went out for the TANs?
First time we went out for a TAN was 2 years ago. This will be the third time that we're going out for a TAN. One of the things is we didn't have to go out for it in the past because the expenses weren't as much and the taxes were coming in a little bit earlier too. So there was no real need for it at that time. Now it is, but this is very common among many of the districts along Long Island. Most of the districts wind up going out for TAN for the same reason.
It's just
not-
because it's unpredictable when we're going to receive the tax.
You have an idea of when you're receiving
Yeah.
it. We get a schedule, but you don't know the amounts that you're
No.
really going to be receiving
Okay.
at that time. Sometimes the first one can be a nice size check, or it might not be as much as you thought it was going to be. So we don't know the dollar amounts, but they give us a schedule, and it starts at the very end of October.
And the goal ultimately, if we keep replenishing our reserve funds as we are this year, is to get to a point where we don't need to take a TANs in order to make ends meet.
Correct. Correct. But the one caveat also is when we discussed the fiscal stress, the reason why we were on it the year before was because it was, you get 10 points the first time you go out for a TAN. And as you said earlier, we never needed to go out for TAN. So a district that was going out for TANs, let's just say for 10 straight years for $15 million, okay, they got no points. But we go out for one for $3 million for the first time. All of a sudden we get banged for 10 points.
Yeah.
So that's what happened to us. So now the goal is to, like I said, eliminate it and get to the point that we really don't have to do it at all. So slowly but surely we're getting there.
And did you say how much you anticipate, how much of a TANs we're going to need to take?
$2 million. $2 million. because like I said before, by the end of October, we're looking at a shortfall of about 1.6. And depending on what the expenses are, it's safer to stay at the 2 million range for that.
Mr. McDade, the financial advisors advised that we do this
Yes,
year.
correct.
Any other discussion on the motion? I'm going to ask for a vote. I'm
And
sorry.
just the cost right now, looking at what would that cost us to get.
I'll have that at the next board meeting.
You
It's
need-
still
you'll
preliminary.
need
We don't
to-
know what
you
the
don't
interest
know what
rates
it's
are going to be. We don't know
right.
what they're going to bid it on. We're not going to get the 0.25% that we got last year.
Thank you.
So there's a motion pending. I'm going to take a vote. Motion to approve 8G.
Motion.
I'm sorry. I'm all in favor. I'm taking the vote. Sorry. Sorry, Neil. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We need just make sure I'm not skipping anything. No. A motion to approve policy 9A. Just to see.
Motion?
Motion by Ms. Miller. Second by Ms. Moran. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. A motion to approve 10A, the personal actions report. Motion by Ms. Keen,
Second.
second by Ms. Miller. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Special services, motion to approve 11A and 11B.
Motion?
Motion by Ms. Miller, second by Ms. Keen. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Report of committees. Do we have a high school report tonight?
Yep.
Mr. Corona, you're up.
Okay, great. Our August Central High School meeting was very brief. Very important. On the agenda was we appointed a new assistant principal at JFK, Jeff Kronk, and a new assistant principal in charge of guidance at Calhoun, Danielle Amato. Also, it should be noted, back in June, the Mepham girls flag football team won the Long Island Championship when they beat Walt Whitman High School, and it was very exciting. On Monday night, the girls received their Long Island Championship rings from the team at the Jets game. The team awarded them at the Jet game. So it was very exciting. It was covered in News 12, got a lot of press. It was very exciting, very proud moment for Central High School District and the girls from Mepham. That was about it.
Great, very nice. Mr. Carter, I'm sorry, no, skipping, sorry. B, School Community Relations, PTA Council, Ms. Keen.
We don't have.
I think it's
a
anything,
meeting
right?
yet, But I was gonna ask Dr. Steniak, the first meeting's in September, let's look at the calendar. Do you have those dates? Those are important.
Yes, the first one will be Monday, September 12th in the morning at 9 a.m., and I'll have my secretary send those out. I thought she did, so my apologies. Some highlights.
Sorry, not district council, the PTA meetings. For the
Oh, yes, I don't have all those yet.
That's what I.
Right. One thing about PTA, though, we're very excited this year that the PTAs are joining together, and over the summer, they actually planned PTA district-wide events for the 3 schools together. One of them is at Adventureland, and one of them is at the Long Island Ducks.
Ah, nice.
So that's a first that
That's
that
great.
they're joining together for several bigger events, which is very exciting.
That's great.
Awesome.
Mr. Carter, now you're up. Our Building and Grounds Report.
So, I just made to bring it up.
Ah, nice.
So, I just wanted to talk to you about the summer, I mean, there's so much going on. We did so many camps here. I think we have more kids in this building on a summer day than we do during the school year. And they're all, it's a different vibe, so it's a little more crazy, but, it went great. A lot of summer programs as well. We're back. I mean, it's really, like, we're really back, pre-COVID. And it's good to see. So much clean, digging deeper than what we've been able to do the past 2 years. Because, all of our guys can work elbow to elbow and take the time to do it right. Not that they did it wrong last year, but things were expedited and couldn't be done exactly the way. Maintenance projects, lots of stuff builds up over the school year. We get through it over the summer when everything's not so critical to the day-to-day operation of school.
Actually, Sam, they can't hear you at home, so you
Oh.
gotta use the microphone.
You gotta use the mic, sorry.
Ah,
Yeah.
Because
We
of
can hear you here.
the
but
live streaming.
The live streaming, not able to hear you. Sorry.
Sorry to that one guy watching the live stream. So as I was saying, grounds projects and upkeep. I just want to remind everybody the heat that we've had this summer, and we've had a grounds crew out there every day, taking precautions, obviously. Mr. Corona, I know how you love the green grass.
I do.
It is not green. I am sorry. Nothing we can do about it this year, but we'll get it back. And
I don't
but
think anybody's grass is green,
No.
even at home.
nope, mine's burnt. So, but we did plant some trees earlier in the summer that we have been watering to keep them alive. So next week, lots of activities. So my guys, I just want to point out that my guys have done an amazing job. I mean, really, it's just, I can't even keep up with them. It's amazing. We lost a week because of the early school year. You know, everything's starting early. So we lost a really good week, the last week of August, first week of September. Labor Day weekend, if push comes to shove, and then we're all ready for the return after Labor Day typically. So that just squeezed, especially in this building, it squeezed the window of opportunity for cleaning and projects even tighter. And these guys just rise to the occasion, and we keep dumping stuff on them, and they keep going. And I just want to thank them for making everyone look good. Next week, we have a new teacher orientation, which will be fun with Ms. Cadiz. I get to speak about school safety. And then we have Superintendent's Conference Day, which is the official welcoming back of all the teachers. I know they've been in and out over the last couple weeks, but it'll be good to see everyone back. Not happy that summer's over, but it will be cool to see the kids back.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Fong, any communications received?
Yes, we received two communications. One was a statement regarding eliminating a position to save the district money, and another was inquiry about teacher notification cards.
And they were all answered, responded to. Thank
Everything
you.
was handled.
Any unfinished business tonight? Unfinished? Any new business?
Yeah, I have an item of new business. Sure. I'd like to discuss the possibility of expanding the role of the Budget Committee going forward. I think that as currently situated, the Budget Committee, they get to ask questions about the budget and see the budget as it's fully done and presented to them. But I think that it would be beneficial if we had a more active role from our Budget Committee. I took a look at some other districts around Nassau County, and I saw Massapequa, for example, has a budget committee that meets monthly from September to May, and they have more input and a more current view of what's going on a monthly basis. And so I want to open it up to other opinions on this, but I think that would definitely be beneficial and would aid in the community's understanding of where their money is being spent.
Yeah, I guess I can't, what I can say, but you remember that we did address this as part of the superintendent's evaluations, and maybe let's get that, and then maybe let the superintendent address that, and then we can go from there, rather than kind of starting it tonight, you know what I'm saying?
Well, I kind of figured that the budget committee would be more of a board.
Oh, it would be.
Yeah,
I mean, it
so-
definitely would be in conjunction with, superintendent's guidance, of course. So maybe I hear you saying about, looking at what other districts do and things like that. I think the superintendent probably is better qualified to look at those and see what they do and figure things out. Like I said, we did put it as part of her evaluation, so maybe we should just give her a chance to address that. We're kind of jumping the gun here, I think.
I guess I just don't think that this is, I'm not trying to go over the superintendent's head or anything. I think that this would be a committee of the board, and, irrespective of however.
Let me ask, Mr. Sid, would this be with how we have it situated now with, parents would join, how we have it set up, or would it be a subcommittee of the board, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I would think that community members would be invited to join. I think that there's a lot of people that live in North Merrick that have expertise in financial matters, that are workers in the financial industry. and then they can lend that kind of expertise to our budgeting process. I think Mr. McDade does a great job, but, never hurts to have a couple other eyes looking at things and a couple other opinions in there.
I agree with having more, perhaps, I think we do have a lot of we are very transparent. We have a lot of community participation. I don't want to make more work for Mr. McDade either. We do have, and they're covered under our insurance. We have, contracted financial advisors. You're our employee. You're covered under our insurance. But I know what you're saying. I don't know if I would necessarily want to have a monthly. We have a board meeting where we talk about reserves. We talk about things and we have 2 areas of public comment. So I am concerned just because I know how we can get weighed down in committee meetings. I have many committee meetings where I work, and a lot of times meetings aren't that effective when you're constantly having meetings, but we're not really getting any work done. I do agree about having more participation. I would even say maybe before we have this, before the committee starts those, I think it's 3 meetings that we have, which are really 6 because we do day and we do evening. Maybe before that begins, that group, that committee with the residents, have they met earlier with Tom? I think I agree a little bit. I'm kind of in the middle between what Mr. Corona is saying and from what you're saying, that I wouldn't want it to be every month. We have another committee and we're giving Mr. McDade another, job to do necessarily, where he's now fielding calls from being a financial advisor is one thing in the community, but having school expertise on finances, I think, is another thing. So I don't want to create more work for him where he's fielding all these calls and he's not able to do the work and spend the time on the budget. I know what you're saying, we're kind of getting it when it's a finished product, and might be too short of a time to let the community make any changes. And it is kind of rushed. We have 6 meetings, and if a parent can't make or a resident can't make one of the 6 meetings, even though it is live streamed, it's different than being able to interact. So I would say I would be for having more meetings earlier on, but I wouldn't want to make this a monthly meeting for the residents to have to attend to. And again, I think it's early on. That's just my opinion, but I'm happy to.
Will, I brought this up too at that meeting that we had, and I agree with you. And I also spoke about how the budget committee used to operate maybe 10, 15 years ago. I just don't think that any of us are prepared to kind of discuss the new process for the budget committee tonight. I think what should happen is perhaps, we start off with a fact finding, looking at some ideas. Maybe we can set up like a work session. I think it would be good if we wanted to, look at revamping this process. I just don't know if tonight we're all prepared to.
I think Will is bringing it up tonight as new business. I don't know if he's
Yeah, no
looking
problem.
to do
Right.
anything
Yeah.
tonight.
Well,
I
that's
think
why I
should
mentioned that we
just
could wait
Yeah.
until the
out there.
superintendent.
I just wanted to get
Yeah,
the
to
ball
get it out there.
rolling.
I think
yeah,
I think the
start
ball is
that.
already rolling. We already
Yeah.
discussed this. We said the superintendent's evaluation. So
Right.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in. The olden days, like I think 10
Yeah.
years ago, we used to sit in the square. Everyone was mixed together, and we weren't handed the finished budget the way the budget committee now, we're essentially handed the budget committee. Listen, Tom does a great job. I say it all the time. So I agree I would love for there to be more discussion.
yeah,
as well.
we actually did get the budget, and then we went through it line by line and we discussed it. I mean, we didn't help produce the budget, that's for sure, but we did have opportunities to go through line by line, and we gave suggestions, and things. The budget wasn't finalized. It was before the budget was voted on and approved by the Board of Education. But we did sit, like you said, we sat in this room, a little square table, and it was a committee that was chosen. It wasn't just open to anyone who wanted to show up.
When did these discussions begin?
The discussions, like that lay budget committee, would take place in, it was like February.
I was going to say
and
January. I
So it was
remember it being
earlier than
January.
It is a little bit earlier than what we're doing now.
It was definitely a different process. Like I said, it was a committee of people who volunteered and were chosen, and it was a specific committee, and only those people came. It wasn't an open presentation. It was, more like a committee that sat and talked and went over, and suggestions were made and notes were taken. And then, perhaps the finalized budget that went before the Board of Education, was modified, based on suggestions that lay budget committee had made.
If I may.
Sure.
We begin the budget process in November, and I think it would be wonderful to start a little earlier, because I believe we start in February with our first budget meeting, and then we repeat it, so it's February, March, and April. We would have to have the opportunity to begin to develop the budget before having and holding more meetings, and so a January start would probably fit in, because we would have information to offer. And remember, a lot of when we do the budget are predictions on aid and revenue that we'll be receiving as well. But to hear more from the public, I was very pleased at one of our budget meetings this past year to hear about the emphasis on mental health and wellness that the public believes in as well. And those conversations I felt were very rich and very relevant to what was going on in the world today. And we welcome that, and we would love to tweak and fine tune. And you speak about Massapequa. I think it's also important to see what the Belmore Merricks are doing as well. And I mean, in between there, you have Wantor, Seaford, et cetera. So I would love to participate in that fact finding and that, and taking a look at, and then we can always take a look at what fits North Merrick. But we don't begin technically internally till November. So I just wanted to share that piece of information as the board makes a decision. A meeting in September or October would be, in my professional opinion, too preliminary, based on the fact that we don't have anything to really present as a foundation to that committee.
I think it's good that we brought this up tonight, though, to get the ball rolling. And we're going to have, I guess we discussed this in September.
Sure. I think Ed's idea of a work session is a
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
idea.
I just have a second piece of new business.
So are we done with, we're done, and I guess.
All right,
Are
so
we-
did we decide what we would do? I mean,
I think you wanted to finish the evaluation for
Okay,
Dr. Sinia.
and
We
then-
have a date for that, and I think at the next board meeting, we can discuss where a work group or however you want to handle it from there.
I think work session works really well.
Okay.
That's a big topic and would take a lot of
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And it'd
Okay.
be good to have a lot of information and, like Will said, to see what other districts do and things like that. And even if we can dust off some archives and find out
Okay.
what we did. Mary and I were both on that late budget committee, so.
Long time ago.
Ms. Keene?
Just another, next week, it's obviously the first day of school is Thursday. And last year, our kids had a chance to meet their teachers beforehand. It was a day or two beforehand. So I'm hoping that we can, in future years, give parents more of a heads up as to when that's going to be. I know I'm home with my kids. I'm very lucky, but my husband would need lots of time to take the day off. And I'm sure there are other working parents out there who would like the chance to meet their kids' teachers that first day, but they need a lot more heads up than we're giving them. So maybe if we can pick that date in May or June so parents can.
I could pick it
put
for
those
you
in.
now. It'll always be the day before school opens for as long as I'm here.
Okay.
Superintendent's conference days contractually have items that must happen. And there's faculty meetings, there's classrooms set up, but I, as a superintendent of schools, own some of that time. Last year, coming back from COVID, I made the decision to do that activity because it lessened the anxiety of our students and our parents. Let's not forget about our nervous parents. And I have to be honest with you, the overwhelming success of that activity was by far worth the time in planning it. A big shout out to Michelle Hagan back there who packed all of those mindful journals and is now packing the treat. And I won't say it publicly because it's a surprise for our students. But it will always be the day before school begins. And it is from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock on August 31st this year. But as you're planning for the years to come, it will always be the day before the first day of school.
Great. And just my last piece, any heads up, obviously with working families, the more heads up we can give them, the better, obviously, because people, aren't, don't have
And
the opportunity.
principals were directed today to put that out today as well. And I also will tell you, I'm all about communication. But it's important to know that we are careful not to send out communication district-wide that sometimes should be building-wide and not necessarily put out consistently and over, because as much as we have people that support over communication, I want the board to know I also hear from those parents that say it's too much communication. My heart drops every time I get that text that something's wrong. So we do try to balance that, and we did speak to our principals about that today as well at our admin meeting about being responsive, but being responsive in a smart way. So, and especially with communication. And our principals, I'm also happy to announce, will be doing weekly blasts on Fridays or whenever the week ends to parents in their building to speak about the highlights of the week and what's to come. And I think that is a smart way to do things so that you know every Friday you will get from your principal this mini newsletter, so to speak. And that way it doesn't need to be a parent square, a connected, anything like that. You know what it is, and you know if I could read it later, it's not urgent. So that's a lot of the discussion we had today, and I appreciate that feedback because communication, we take a lot of pride in being fully responsive to emails and phone calls to our parents and to our community, weekends and evenings, but we don't want to over-communicate and scare people sometimes. So we're trying to balance that, and I think these weekly newsletters will be a big plus to keep parents in the know without feeling that we're over-communicating.
That's great, but like if we know the graduation dates for next year, I think it's great to put them, I know we put them in the calendar, but it's also
are.
good, just to get all those information for the working families where it's very hard and they need time to.
And the
get their
calendars
vacation days.
are at the printer, they're coming in, they should be distributed next week as well. And the graduation dates and times and locations are on there, as well as, as many events as we could get before we had to put it to print. And we are also doing now a monthly calendar on our website with any corrections or updates based on from the time we went to print to something that PTA may have changed or something may have changed, because it's our printed calendar is not a living document, but our online calendar is, and it's important to know that, and we will share that with parents as well.
Great.
Is,
Thank you.
is the Meet the Teachers Day on the calendar on the website?
Yes, it's September, I just had that. Meet the open house.
No,
Thank you, September 15th. And this is Ms. Cadiz's first board meeting. Thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah, I think.
Different
No,
question.
different question.
Is the hour for the Meet the Teacher on the website? Or that's just going out for buildings? Is that what you want?
Yeah, that
yes,
was-
that's what I wanted to
Is
know.
it on the district website?
Right.
Well, we have the monthly calendar. I have to go back and look at it. We do monthly. I have to,
Right.
do you want me to check right now?
No, you don't need to. I'm just saying it would be probably helpful for people planning if they could look on the calendar. We know, after you said this, that it's going to be the day before school starts every single year, but a kindergarten parent wouldn't know that,
Oh,
so.
is that, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking
Yeah.
about open
No,
school
no.
night. The principals they created a flyer today and they're posting it on Facebook. They're sending it out via Parent Square, and it will be on the website. Is
Okay.
it on at this moment? If they did it, it is. If it's not, by tomorrow morning.
Okay.
Okay, so parents are finding out tomorrow about the
10
meet,
o'clock to 11
to meet
o'clock.
the teachers. Okay.
And what I'm suggesting is that, like, when we do the new calendar for the new year,
Put that
whenever,
on.
put it on, just put it on there so people,
Yes.
as Mary was raising, if you need a month to take off, you can see what day that is.
Will do.
So it's August 31st, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m.
And it is outdoors, but if there is rain, the flyer is specific as to where in the building, specifically Camp, Old Mill, and Fayette, where it will be held, because we don't want to postpone it.
Any other new business tonight? We're going to go into our public comments. I'm not going to bore everyone, read again. Same policies before. I don't think we have any. Okay. The more notice, the better. Agreed.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Right, with that, can I have a motion to adjourn? Hope everyone
Motion.
enjoys the last week of summer.
Yeah.
Moved by Mr. Corona, second by Ms. Miller, all in favor.
Aye.
All right, have a great week. Joanne, we're going to have a meeting on September